Guys, I want to give my quick thoughts on something, and that something is all the Megalopolis shit going on right now. This has been the most entertaining behind the scenes drama I can think of in a while, probably since the Flash movie. So, basically, the rundown, and then I'll give my opinion. This all started a few years back when director Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make this movie called Megalopolis. He's been trying to make this movie for the past 20 years. For some reason or another, nobody wanted to make the movie. In 2001 or 2000, I guess, they were going to make this movie, and then the 9/11 attacks happened. And given that this is a movie about New York undergoing an apocalypse, they thought it would be inappropriate, so they shelved it. He tried to make it elsewhere. Nobody wanted to make it. Fast forward to 20 years later, even more, and he finally self-financed the movie. Francis Ford Coppola has a wine company where he makes wine. I've tasted his wine. I can't tell you if it's good or not because I honestly don't have a palate for wine. I'm more of a beer guy. But yeah, I'm a hipster. Anyway, so sells the wine company, gets a huge cast to be in his movie. He gets people like Adam Driver, Aubrey Plaza, John Voight, Lawrence Fishburne, these really big, talented actors, as well as Shia LaBeouf. Anyway, so he makes this movie, this big post-apocalypse movie about Adam Driver's character trying to rebuild New York from scratch. And anyway, bunch of behind the scenes drama. Some of the drama included that there was a lot of VFX in the movie. The VFX team was underpaid, overworked. They quit. They had to get replaced with another team. Another drama that happened was that apparently Francis Ford Coppola would show up to set, lock himself in his trailer, hotbox himself, get high off his fucking ass, and then when there was about 3 hours left of the day, he would like put together something in the script and like, let's film this. And everyone's like, it's not in the script. And he's like, well, it is now, bitches. I saw some Reddit posts about Francis Ford Coppola having inappropriate behavior with women, but I mean, it's Reddit. I wouldn't put too much credibility into that until I see more evidence anyway. So there's that. Anyway, movie is finally made, completed. It was shown to distributors. They had like a showcase where like we're gonna show this movie to a bunch of distributors. Nobody wanted to distribute it. Mind you, the movie's already made. All they have to do is pay the distribution fees. Nobody wants to touch the movie. All right, fine. We'll go to Cannes. Hopefully, we get a distributor through Cannes. So they bring the movie to Cannes. Movie plays at Cannes. The audience reaction is mixed at best, horrible at worst, and no distributor still wants to touch this movie. That's until the president of IMAX said, listen, this movie's going to play in IMAX to whoever wants to distribute the movie, and still nobody wanted to distribute the movie. And what I find interesting is, first of all, this is the best promotional campaign for the movie. I think distributors should pick up the movie just based on all the drama surrounding the movie. And usually that doesn't really work to a movie's favor because people who are plugged into Reddit don't really represent the general audience. But I think there's enough curiosity out there for people to be like, I want to see this new Francis Ford Coppola movie that everyone's talking about. And I also think there's an audience fatigue when it comes to the generic blockbuster. And that's why people would probably pay money to see this experimental film extravaganza. I think the reason why I didn't pick up a distributor is because this could be a spoiler for the movie, but whatever. Might not even see the light of day. There's reports saying that this movie features a scene where a man walks onto the stage of the cinema, turns to the screen, and has a dialogue directly with Adam Driver's character across the screen. I saw a leak. This is very bad, I guess, because Cannes has a no camera policy, but when you're on Twitter, you can kind of see this shit. Someone filmed it, and it kind of just looked like a Zoom call with the character of Adam Driver. But I mean, again, it's an experimental film. A lot of people are referring back to Hearts of Darkness, the Apocalypse Now documentary, where Francis Ford Coppola, his wife, rest in peace, she just died recently, but she made this documentary about being married to this madman who has the genius vision and all that. And people are drawing parallels between the filming of Apocalypse Now and the filming of Megalopolis. Could be, to be honest. Maybe that's just the way Francis Ford Coppola rolls. He likes his hectic sets. I almost said sets. He likes his hectic sets. There we go. Do I want to see the movie? Yes. I'm also not like on board as this being like the Francis Ford Coppola movie. He hasn't made a movie since Dracula, because I have seen movies he's made since Dracula and they're terrible. It's really rare that you come across one of those classic new Hollywood directors and they still got that touch. I think Scorsese still has that touch, but Spielberg, hit and miss these days. De Palma hasn't made anything. John Carpenter hasn't made anything. All those classic 70s and 80s big film directors haven't really made anything good, because it's hard to make a movie, let alone a good movie, 30, 40 years past your heyday. So I want to see it just because so many people are talking about it. I don't think this is going to be the movie that saves cinema. Cinema has been shit lately. There's a reason why I don't post many videos, is because I don't care for many of the more recent movies. I went to see Fall Guy recently and I just did a review and I'm like, it's a movie, though I did like Challengers. But lately, everything in the cinema is uninteresting, and I don't think this is going to be the movie that makes me want to go back to the cinema and watch more recent movies. I think experimental film is necessary when you look at big directors like Scorsese and even more recent directors like the Safdie brothers and Robert Eggers. They borrow a lot from experimental cinema. So I think having big directors like a David Lynch just doing whatever wacky shit comes to his head, I think there is a place for that, and I think it is important. So I am happy that ultimately Francis Ford Coppola got to make his $120 million experimental film. It's awesome. I'm gonna be there for sure. I'm gonna watch it and indulge in its fucking chaos. But I don't know. I think I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm not one of those people that are like, this needs to see the light of day. It's necessary for society, yada, yada, yada. Though, as a film preservationist, I do believe in that to some extent. But I'm also not one of these people that are like, oh, it's going to be a complete disaster. I think it's going to find its way down the middle. It's going to be comparable to a movie like Babylon, which I watched the trailers for this movie, and it does kind of have that Babylon feel. And Babylon was very divisive. I was one of those people who didn't like Babylon, but it does have a big audience, and I can see a movie like that getting a cult following. And I want to see this movie just for that. Another tidbit of news that I glossed over was after this movie was released at Cannes, Adam Driver fired his whole team, all of his agents, his promotional people, everyone. And I can see why, because the dude's a phenomenal actor. But besides Marriage Story, as of recent years, he hasn't had a lot of good movies. White Noise. He did that fucking Leo Carax movie that's a musical, and it was terrible. I think Marion Cotillard was in it. He did that movie. 65 was a dud. I didn't see it, but it just didn't make money. He was in the Star Wars movies, which, yeah. Ferrari, which didn't make a lot of money, and it's like Michael Mann. And then he was in those two Ridley Scott joints, the House of Gucci and Last Duel, which I like the Last Duel actually. But anyway, and I like House of Gucci, but ironically. But yeah, dude's been having a bad rap, and I think it's because I don't know if it's a decision on his part or his team's part, but they've been pairing him off with these legacy directors like Ridley Scott and Michael Mann and now Francis Ford Coppola, and it's just hasn't been working for him. Again, it's hard to make a good movie. One good movie is a miracle. To be like a consistent good filmmaker from 1970 onward, it's like a 50-year career. No, listen, I'm a Kanye West fan. Vultures was terrible, and I think Kanye West is past his prime at this point. He's made a lot of duds. That's a 20-year career as a musician, and I think that's like crazy that he did 20 years of consistently good music up until that point. Drake, I'm not a Drake fan per se, but he had a good run, 15 solid years. Taylor Swift, she's gonna have like a 20-year run. She's still relevant though. We'll see. But to be like at your highest artistic prowess for 50 years is a lot to ask out of a person. But again, you don't get to see like people making movies like this. And just because of that philosophy alone, I'll be watching it. Again, he's been making movies. A lot of people are saying this is his first movie since Dracula. It's not. We'll see how it goes. Is Francis Ford Coppola off his rockers? Could be. We'll have to wait and see. My prediction is that this is going to be like about the same level as a movie like Babylon that just splits the audience. But I do like what I see from the trailers, and I honestly like the decision of having a person on stage interacting with the film. The film seems to be inspired by a movie like Caligula, which is a movie I talk about a lot on my channel, but just having that theme of excess and gluttony, and it's like this flashback to the collapse of the Roman Empire. I kind of want to see it just because I like movies that harken to Caligula. Yeah, that's how I feel. Guys, are you gonna watch Megalopolis? Do you want it to get distribution? Do you think the fact that there's real performers interacting with the screen is gonna hinder its chance at distribution? Comment below, and I'll see you guys around. Take care.